Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. We have the latest monthly report for Squadron 42, so let us check in with all of the latest development updates. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for the support, cannot do this without you guys. And if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. We are fast approaching 60,000, so thank you so much. So let us kick off with the AI features team. They began the month resolving an issue in which the Vanduul attacks were not harming the player or friendly AI. They also fixed behavior issues related to AI taking cover, which will also enhance the situational awareness of friendly AI when encountering enemies. The team then began providing animation support for cover transitions for each of the in-game factions, and I think it was mentioned a while ago that each faction will fight differently to one another, as well as their abilities ranging from gang to gang. So a fight with one gang, say the Fire Rats, will be very different to that of the Xeno threat. Issues were also addressed with attack and defend areas to ensure that AI units correctly advance to or defend a designated location. And I wonder if any of this kind of stuff with the AI can be tested in Arena Commander to help balance and tune the AI without revealing any spoilers, as that would be pretty fun. They did say that they might offer this type of thing with PvE in Arena Commander in the experimental modes, especially considering that the PU AI is something to be desired right now until the server framerate can be resolved. Now, significant progress was made on a key battle, with the team implementing behaviors to allow the enemy to learn from the player's actions. And this, they say, will prevent players from exploiting specific actions, with the team also exploring design tweaks to the battle to enhance the overall experience. Now, I really like the sound of this, as in games far too often, the minute you figure out a certain technique that works against the opposition, you know you can just repeat that technique over and over again and then win with ease. So having the AI actually learning from your actions and adapting to what you're doing will hopefully create a really interesting and challenging experience. Hopefully we'll learn more about that, because I'm very intrigued. Now, the animators worked to ensure that the female Marines move naturally during combat, and they also continued to provide animation support for crouch locomotion, and now when the player adopts a stealthy playstyle, AI buddies will follow in their actions and crouch accordingly. And I really hope that this means they are now improving the actual crouch animation as well, as this still feels pretty awkward in the persistent universe, and it looks kind of weird, so any improvements there will be very nice. Now, moving on to the AI tech team, they developed various features, including Boids, and began focusing on performance improvements and polishing existing features. So for the Boids, the base structure was implemented that allows the designers to define Boid's state, like wandering, fleeing, idling, dead, and so on, and the transition between those states. Now, these transitions contain rules, including when they should be selected, and the animation data such as birds taking off or landing. Also, iteration was done on suitable physics properties for the Boid agents that need to be affected by gravity to walk on terrain. And finally, the team added health components to them so players can actually damage or kill them. So by Boids, this means certain creatures like fish, birds, those sorts of things, small rodents and whatnot. But so much work is going on creatures. It is so exciting to think that soon we will be seeing fauna of varying types. I also think that we may see them at this year's CitizenCon. If not a dedicated panel on the development of them, then maybe just in the keynote in the background, potentially shown off in a demo around Pyro perhaps. But there is a lot more work going on with creatures that I will get to in, I think, the Persistent Universe report, rather than more in this report. So do keep your eyes out for that one when I cover that report. Now, the team completed an error reporting panel for the Apollo Subsumption tool that will help designers catch problems sooner and solve them more easily. Performance improvements were also made, with the team looking at systems that impact performance on dedicated servers, and the team are currently investigating and implementing optimizations to planetary navigation generation and pathfinding request processing. This navigation generation is to do with how NPCs and creatures, so any AI, can navigate on a planet's surface. Also, new functionality was added to the collision avoidance system, which is also how the AI and NPCs can tell if there's something in their path and appropriately either avoid it or move around it. And now, collision avoidance agents have support for skipping and ignoring lists, which is used when agents move together as a group. For NPCs using trolleys, improvements were made to collision avoidance as well, and a new component was added to the trolley that will trigger the regeneration of navigation mesh when it stops moving. Of course, all of this work with trolleys will be so useful in Squadron, I'm sure, but this work will also enable the NPCs at landing zones, for example, to come and help load and unload your ship of cargo. Now, moving on to the AI vehicle team, they spent time improving various elements of Squadron 42's gameplay, like reworking the flyby maneuver that the ship AI uses in combat, and it is now much more aggressive and can adapt to what the player is doing, like what we just heard. And at the higher difficulty levels, the AI will do a skidded roll attack during flybys, where they roll and strafe slightly as they approach, making them more difficult to hit. That sounds like a technique that I feel I should learn. Vehicle AI also exposed various features to the designers to help them tune and balance combat encounters, such as burst fire controls for ships. The AI can actually now detect when a ship has entered soft death, so disabled basically and not fully destroyed, like we see in the persistent universe, and the enemies will now stop attacking in this case, which is very kind of them. Hopefully that means they're just going to board rather than continue to try and blow you up. Finally, for the AI vehicles team, various tweaks, improvements, and updates were made to enhance the overall game experience. So sounds like a lot of tweaking, a lot of balancing, now more than anything to get the feeling and difficulty right, as anything to do with AI needs to be thoroughly balanced on all difficulty levels. Now for the animation team, they spent time working on weapon first selects, a key combat encounter, the military pilot multi-tool, spec ops cover animations, female animations for missing player interactions, and fixes to the firing range's security behavior. So not a lot then. They also focused on cockpit and environmental interaction animations to increase immersion, pickups for AI medical and ship hull interactions, and a variety of facial animations for flight combat and comm calls. Now moving on to the audio team, the audio dialogue team completed their performance capture pickup shoots and then moved on to asset editing and mastering. Content was also captured for the breathing system as well, which is being prepared for implementation, with the team saying there was plenty of great quality content recorded to cap off a successful shoot. Now, I'm not entirely what this breathing system is. All I can think is in relation to audio, it is for more realistic and diverse breaths from players and NPCs perhaps. I don't know if it's that simple, but who knows. Focus was also given to the actor status and asset mastering, and planning began for Walla recording sessions to add background chatter to the game in more populated areas. So this sounds like it could mean more player moaning and groaning and such to come in for the actor status system, so to help sell the effects of whatever the character is feeling based on the environment, based on damage and whatnot. The game's weapons are currently being implemented with relevant sound effects, and the first audio passes on in-game visual effects began, such as lightning strikes. I do look forward to hearing more for the various weapons we have, as audio can make the weapons sound either incredible or pretty pathetic, and it would be nice to get more of a cohesive range of sounds for all the weapons we have, so hopefully once this stuff is implemented in Squadron, they can roll that out to the PU as well, and we will be able to appreciate our weapons even more. Now for the gameplay story team, they supported a performance capture shoot and made improvements to a range of scenes across the campaign. They also used some of the new motion capture data to create a scene with a key character entering and using an airlock. And a new way to trigger lines while animations are already playing was documented, so it can be used in other areas across the game as well. Now for the level design team, they continue to make progress on their Idris interstitials, and along with the usual bug fixing and scene iteration, they completed the back end of the reputation system. So now the Idris crew will track a player's reputation via interactions, and for example, selecting a negative, neutral, or positive conversation option, or simply walking off mid-conversation can affect this. So this is something that we've heard about a few times in the past, how you can really piss off NPCs that you interact with by being rude, and they will remember that and not want to talk to you. I will look forward to testing this out and maybe have a bit of a novelty playthrough and see how far we can take it so that we end up in the brig. The team then moved on to Fortune's Cross, using the background AI to enhance its past its sell-by-date shopping mall at 4 PM aesthetic, kind of specific. And for example, they added NPCs lazily eating noodles, warily sipping on a coffee, and carrying out shady transitions. So although this is the first time I'm hearing the term Fortune's Cross, I'm presuming this is referring to a mission or a level or a location, maybe a section of a mission perhaps. Never heard it before, but kind of teasing as I think there with the name dropping. Finally, the team also completed additional work on a social interaction in Chapter 1, with the team saying, "We have our narrative scenes set up, but to reinforce the tone, we now have the background crew carrying out maintenance and repairs, watching frontline reports, and writing messages to loved ones." So a lot of background activities to sell the idea that the NPCs are actually living and breathing on board the Idris. And I fully intend to pick a random NPC or multiple NPCs and just follow them around the Idris and see what they do, see them go about their day to day. I think that will be quite interesting. Now, moving on to the narrative team, they supported a recent performance capture shoot, as we heard. They also continue to meet with the various level designers and leads to make final tweaks based on the latest level updates, with the team saying it was an intense 3-week shoot, but it yielded some fantastic performances and moments that will really enrich the overall experience. During the shoot, we also welcomed back some of our original supporting cast for some final pickups. And the footage captured in this shoot is currently making its way through the content pipeline as editorial selects are pulled and passed along to the animation and audio teams. Also, additional wild lines based on combat AI feedback and Vanduul content were also captured to fill in the areas and supply more specific dialogue to support gameplay. And finally, for the narrative team, with the shoot complete, the team continued tackling many of the game's text needs, from the Galactopedia entries to environmental storytelling and collectibles. And again, we see the narrative team doing a lot of final tweaks with things, making sure things just feel right and correct with the environment, because they want it all to feel appropriate to the lore and be canon. So a lot of work there, especially for people like Dave Haddock, who is the director of narrative. I suspect he's got his peepers looking at everything. Now, the tech animation team supported numerous teams across the project with a wide variety of animation tasks, including asset implementation and maintenance. Great progress was also made on creating and implementing creatures, and as part of this work was done on the toolsets for rigging and physics proxy authoring and implementation. So that is some pretty exciting news, especially the fact that they're saying implementation. I feel they have seriously held back on showing off anything about creatures and animals so that they can reveal them, hopefully at CitizenCon. I would think so. And if so, I hope this means that we will get to see them in Stanton as well and not just have to wait for Pyro. But this is great news, and I look forward so much to seeing what they have created and implemented, because creatures in games can often feel very just an afterthought, and they don't look good. So I'm really hoping CIG, with all of their resources, can create something truly special. Anyway, moving on, comms calls and dialogue were a major focus for the tech animation team, with the goal being to create content at speed, with the team saying, "This has been hugely successful and collates many lengthy manual processes into a singular toolset with a great user interface." And finally, for the team, they continued to provide additional faces for the game to source from, providing much more variation to NPC populations. And they better have my face in that pool still. I didn't shave that beard off for no reason. I want to walk around, see myself, or even be myself, or even just see my nose. That would do. Not that it's that special. Anyway, moving on to the UI team, they looked at conversation text, updating its style to match the rest of the game level screens, such as radial menus, and after a lot of iteration trying to find the perfect style, a direction for the Drake cockpit UI was unanimously approved and will soon move into production. So nice to hear about this. It'll be so refreshing when every ship has the manufacturer appropriate HUD, so Drake, Aegis, Anvil, all of them being different to each other manufacturer and then spread across the ships. The UI team also began adding AI fluff screens into some of the main levels in the game. They also polished the visuals and ironed out issues with the visor and vehicle HUDs as they are used in-game and come up against unexpected situations. And finally, the UI team are currently polishing the map and radar systems, improving the visuals and usability. Again, the StarMap, the new StarMap update, I 100% expect to see this at CitizenCon. It is now implemented in Squadron 42's build. They're just polishing it, hooking in the other maps, the radar systems, everything that goes hand in hand together. So I think there will be a bit of a reveal of the StarMap at this year's CitizenCon. Now the final team is the visual effects team, who continued working with art and design on several locations, helping to add extra polish, as well as fine-tune the fire propagation effects. So again, adding polish, making sure that everything looks as good as it can. So there you have it. That was this month's Squadron 42 monthly report. Great to see more and more of this single-player campaign getting polished, getting completed, and really excited to see what they're doing with creatures. As I say, the Persistent Universe monthly report has even more information about this, so do keep an eye out for that. I will cover that as soon as possible. And I do think we will hear a bit of an announcement at CitizenCon this year regarding Squadron. But with that said, if you did appreciate the video, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, come and hang out over at twitch.tv/supermacbrother. We should be live today, maybe even right now. You are all more than welcome over there. Great time to come and hang out. We will be going through the monthly reports, in fact, watching Inside Star Citizen. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for all the support. Cannot do this without you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.